Located at the test of Vito, the Netherlands, NOPSA Norway, EPSA Poland, APF Portugal, Farsafara Romania, NAPSA Serbia, CPSA Slovakia, Shirsofa Slovenia, FEF Spain, SNAP Sweden, ASEF Switzerland, UPS International Turkey, EPSA United Kingdom. Please raise your hand high so the scrutineer can see you. Marine, you cannot be there. GA started. If people are not in the table, just give me the cards. Please raise your hands high, especially that side, my right side. Which one is that? Is he just right now? Where is the EPSA card? Where is your card? Please raise your voting cards high. We have 23 voting members present.
I resume the standing orders. Please, guys, this is GA, the highest decision-making body of the associations. So if we could have silence in the back of the room. Guys, in the back, can we please have silence? Can someone go there? Okay, with this, we will now proceed to the report by Ruben.
Technical. HD.
Close the windows first.
Please. The people in... Can you close? Sweden. Snap Sweden. Can you... Yeah. So, now, Ruben, can you present your updates? Wait a second.
Okay, good morning everyone. Since submitting my report, I had some updates for the alumni platform. I had a meeting with Laura, IT coordinator. We were discussing the next steps on the platform. We also contacted S-Team because they have a very nice platform and they want to follow some of the steps. For the newsletter, it was sent to the alumni, the first edition. It was sent to 146 people and we had 118 opens, which was quite good. For the databases, we're updating the databases and making sure it's GDPR compliant. For the alumni weekend that is happening now, I was meeting with Ivan, vice chairperson, to make sure we could get the program done. And for the AB, the Alumni Advisory Board, there was a Facebook group and Google group created, Facebook group chat, yes. And I shared the reports of the team so they could provide feedback.
Thank you, Ruben. Now I open the floor for questions and comments. APF Portugal.
Matilda APF Portugal, thank you for the updates. I just have a question for you. How many alumni newsletters are you planning to send this mandate?
Ruben, alumni coordinator. Thank you for your question. We're still deciding on the ideal amount of newsletters. It will depend on how much information we want to send. Probably 3 editions will be enough. So one in the beginning, one after this event, and one after the annual congress. Maybe 4, also depending on AR. So we're still trying to decide, but 3 to 5 would be ideal during a mandate.
APEF, direct.
Matilda APEF Portugal, thank you for answering me. And I have a question regarding the content of the newsletter. How do you choose the information for it?
Ruben Almaconate, thank you for your question. So the method, the procedure we did was I sent the ideas to the executive. They provided feedback, and according to each executive member's information that they wanted to share, then it was put on the newsletter and sent to alumni.
Thank you. Now I have Kian PSV with a new point.
Janine KP's for the Netherlands. I was wondering why the information about the alumni weekend came so late, because I believe it was 1 week in advance, and I think the information should be sent to the alumni earlier. And how are you going to prevent this from happening at the next conference?
Okay, Ruben, Honor Coordinator, thank you for your question. The alumni weekend is always made with the local association, so we have been trying to communicate the best as possible. In the end, some things go not as planned, so I suggest for the future to start earlier with the communication, make it clearer, and make sure we have as much things defined as early as possible.
Thank you. Now I have a new point from CPSA.
Eva, CPSA, so you mentioned in your report that you would like to engage the LSs in the search for alumni. Do you have some specific ideas on the matter?
Ruben, Alumni Coordinator, thank you for your question. I believe that LSs are important because they know the members that were engaged in EPSA better than the Alumni Coordinator. So they're a good link to go to the local associations and find more alumni. The next steps would be send an email to the alumni with some suggestions of activities that we can do in the local association to find more alumni, either social media or maybe a hangout with the whole members, and then trying to communicate with the LSs in order for this information to be shared between EPSA and the local members.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments? If not, I am. Oh. Guy?
Ruben, thank you for first of all standing up with us. We are not an easy bunch of people to deal with. I think on the AAB, so me being in the AAB, being an alumnus as well, at the AAB I think you're doing a great job, so please carry on the communication like you've been doing so far. But in general for the alumni and even for this weekend, I think there's a lot of improvement needed. I think in a certain way in the handbooks is already saying that you are the one that should communicate to the alumni for the weekends. You know, we prompt you as AAB to communicate to the alumni for the weekend. You shouldn't wait for the RC. You need to communicate yourself. You are our link to EPSA. So I think communication needs to improve a bit for the alumni and for the event. But apart from that, I think you're doing a good job. So just carry on, but please the communication needs to improve a bit.
Thank you. Svetlana?
Svetlana, alumni, also member of Alumni Advisory Board. First of all, thank you, Ruben, as Guy said, for very good communication and being a good link between the Alumni Advisory Board and the whole EPSA team. I think we have been involved quite a lot so far in some discussions, which I very much enjoy and like, and hopefully it was useful for the EPSA team as well. I have the privilege to attend the EPSA team meeting the weekend before, and I also discussed with you briefly on the point of in your report, you're not stating anything regarding communication with alumni, so can you please maybe give a little bit, can you elaborate a bit on that? How has that been so far? How are your experiences? And if you have any other feedback from alumni apart from the Alumni Advisory Board. Thank you.
Okay, Ruben, alumni coordinator. Thank you, Svetlana. The problem with the alumni communication was that in the beginning some requests were made, the responsiveness rate was not really high, so we took advantage of the GDPR situation to reformulate the database. So we're trying to ask people if they want to stay in the alumni group. So if they want to stay, they will get the information. If they do not want to stay, they will stop receiving it. I think this is a good way to do it, because we had, I think, more than 300 emails before, and now we had, as I said, I sent to 146 people. And although we have a smaller number of people, we have a higher percentage of views and responses. So this was the way it started, and I think it will be improving in the near future. So we will try to reach more, especially through the Google group, through email.
Thank you. Questions? Comments? Anya?
Anya, VPIA. Ruben, I think your portfolio and all the projects are developing very good. You have concrete ideas, structured ideas for the future, and I think if you continue with the work, I think the position will develop. So keep up, and thank you for everything.
Now we will proceed with the motion to approve the exec reports. So I will read the motion first. The 56th EPSA General Assembly accepts the following executive autumn assembly reports: 2018-2019, President, Vice President of Internal Affairs, Secretary General, Treasurer, Vice President of Education, Vice President of Public Relations, Vice President of External Relations, Vice President of European Affairs, immediate past President. So now I open the floor for discussion. BPHD Germany.
Constantine, BPHD Germany. I would like to propose a 9.15 procedural motion in order to split the vote and vote on the report of the Vice President of European Affairs separately, as we have discussed in the before. Thank you.
So 9.15 proposed by BPHD Germany, a second by FEP Spain. So now I open the floor for the procedural motion discussion. I close the floor, and now we will vote. Anyone against? Please raise your hand. Aye. Technical?
Guys, when he asks to vote, please vote immediately, because I see people up and down and up and down. You should decide immediately.
Clarification? BPSA?
Sally, BPSA UK. Okay, let's say if we vote to vote for this motion in parts, and we separate that one out, will we still get a chance to discuss it?
Technical?
Eva, President, the floor was already closed for discussion, so now we can only do the vote. There's another procedural motion to reopen the floor, and you have to use that one to start discussing it. Right now it's just voting time.
So, any abstention? So, I will start all over again the voting procedure. Anyone against? Abstention? Fourth,
Guys, please, you have to vote on something. Raise your hand high immediately when we ask, because people are still like,
the motion was carried. So now we will do that, and I will read the motion again.
okay, Eva President, the PC will now prepare the two separate motions. So the Vice President of European Affairs report will be voted on separately. So we just need a minute for the PC to prepare the motion, and then we'll proceed.
Oh, I'm just...
Technical, c'est deux.
Katja SSFD, I don't know if this is exactly a technical, but I would like to ask the GA, because our RC of the summer university, we have a problem with the team. We would like to ask the GA if it's okay to extend the deadline for proposing motions until 3, not 12.
Eva?
Eva President, the deadline is defined by Torzo, so we cannot extend it. You can submit a motion late, but then a 9.12 will be needed for it to be accepted. But since this is an executive motion, it will be proposed by the exec in any case.
Technical, BPHG German.
Concerning BPHG Germany, since we're going to discuss the VPA report afterwards, and I would like to ask some questions to the coordinators again, I would ask kindly to, if it would be possible to fetch them in order that they can speak here in front of us. Thank you.
Direct, Eva?
Eva President will try. I will need to check the team task allocation because they might be in a workshop, so we cannot promise anything, but we'll text them and see.
So now we will vote first for this motion without the PPIA, so I will read that again. The 56 EPSA General Assembly accepts the following Executive Autumn Assembly reports 2018-2019. President, Vice President of Internal Affairs, Secretary General, Treasurer, Vice President of Education, Vice President of Public Relations, Vice President of External Relations, immediate past President. So I open the floor for discussion. I close the floor for discussion. Now we will vote. Anyone against? Any abstention? The motion was carried unanimously. So now we will vote for the other motion. The 50, I will read that first. The 56 EPSA General Assembly accepts the Autumn Assembly Report 2018-2019 of the Vice President of European Affairs. Now I open the floor for discussion. Okay. First, I have Marta.
Marta, Vice President of European Affairs. So I have a couple of points to make here. So in regards of the discussion of yesterday, I do believe that I stick for my report because I do believe that I made a suggestion for improvement that it's valid. It was said that people don't like the wording. I believe that making somebody changing the wording, it's censorship. I apologize, but in a democracy, people should be free to say what they believe for. Besides, people stated that if you read a report without background information, you are going to clearly interpret it this way. That's not true, because there were a lot of green emotion cards, red emotion cards, so clearly people interpreted the report in different ways. There is background information, there are previous reports, there is my plan of action with an handover section, there is also the report, the last report of my predecessor with an handover section written by me. So there is background information, nobody reads a report out of a sudden like that. Besides, a single report does not reflect a work on the mandate, so if you randomly take a second Timothy report that from everywhere, that can be misinterpreted, because you need a whole report along the mandate. And yes, I keep with my suggestion for improvement, because I believe that in a democracy people should be free to say what they are aiming for and what they will for, what they wish to improve. And censorship should not be accepted, because if I'm changing the wording, basically we are here shifting what we want the future generations to read. And also that's not correct. And besides, if my report is not approved, it means that technically I cannot get team fund. So there is a factor here which says that whether I change my opinion and change my wording and this is censored, or I don't get reimbursement for the expenses that I'm making working for EPSA at the end of the mandate. So yeah, this is my point here.
Point of information.
Eva, President, so I will again explain what happens if a report is not accepted. It does not mean that you will not receive team fund. It means that you will have the opportunity to amend it and present it again, and then either this GA or next GA can vote on it. Depends on when you present it, so it has nothing to do with team fund.
PPHG, do you still have a direct? Marta? It's the direct
so, yes, okay, I apologize then for the misinformation. What I was meaning that if I decide not to change it because I believe this is censorship, then this can happen. But okay, it's now up to the members. But yeah, even though this is a democratic process, I kind of have the feeling that democracy is being used to promote censorship here.
Technical, Vojta?
Vojta, PC. Guys, please, when you will be raising your hands, raise them really up high so we can see them properly, okay? And also please wait for eye contact from us, that we marked you on the list. It will ease our facilitation. Thank you.
Okay, so now direct from BPHD German.
Yes, BPHD Germany, Konstantin. I'm very grateful that you brought up democracy here, because in a democracy it is the right of a person accused to state his or her opinion against that. If you were to publish your report in a newspaper and your predecessor Doro would not like what you have written there, she would have the right to have the newspaper publish an article which states her opinion. That is how we deal with that in a democracy, in order that everybody can publish their vote. But it's not possible here, because if your report is archived, it will stay like that. And if we as GA approve the report, we say that we really believe what is written there word by word. I would ask you to not underestimate this weight we are putting on that report with our vote on it. So, since it is not possible for her to in any way contradict what this report states about her, I really believe this is not about censorship, but I believe that this is about fairness and getting the facts right. We cannot prove that, or you cannot prove, you have not brought up any proof that she actively kept the contacts from you, or you have not brought up any proof that your wording cannot be misunderstood. So since this is an unproven accusation in a way, I really believe that we should not actively put weight on an accusation that can not possibly be proven. Thank you.
Thank you. Technical, Eva?
Eva, President, I believe some of the arguments that are being stated now were already stated yesterday, so please proceed with the new points.
And also, Konstantin, do you add a lot of new points during the direct? You can have that, okay? So, VFSO, do you have the direct? And after that, I will take Marta.
Doreen, VFSO Belgium. I don't see the problem with censorship if you just, it's not about removing your sentence, it's just clarifying what you mean, and that's not censorship, it's just clarifying. So your point can be made. You told us that it is a point of feedback, something that you want to improve, and it is not an acquisition. So maybe you can just state that in your report, because that's just what you said, and for me then it's okay.
Thank you. Marta?
First, once more, you are already giving it for granted that that was an accusation. It was not an accusation. I've already stated here. It's minuted. It's on live stream, so it is not an accusation. So if you want proof that and clarification that is not an accusation, you can actually have it on the live stream and on the minutes. And yeah, the only person that can stately say this was an accusation after a long legal background is actually a judge. So I'm sorry, but you cannot take for granted that this was an accusation and keep stating that.
Point
and I've already said.
Eva?
Eva, President, so I'm hearing a lot of discussion about whether this is censorship or not. The GA has the right to request a team member to amend the report, so I would suggest we move to other topics, because that's the right of the GA. We are now fighting on whether or not they have the right to do that. They have.
So I have some new points. I had a direct, NAPSA Serbia.
Mina Namster, Serbia. So I just kind of, sorry if this is repeated, but I feel like there is also a bit more that I really need to add to this. So the main issue with the statement that I think we are all kind of hung up on in the final remarks is that it's not the wording, or that it's not pretty. The report shouldn't be pretty, it should be trustworthy. The problem is that there is a statement that points to an unprofessional behavior of an EPSA executive in an environment that has a lot, if not the most, impact on how EPSA is perceived in a professional environment. So basically, it should really be investigated if it's true that during the handover, the predecessor held some contacts previously made that should be shared with the successor for the future use of the association. And this is something that I think if the report is approved, then it says, I think that we share like this opinion because we voted on separately voting for this, and yesterday there was a lot of motion cards that kind of show the same sentiment. So I feel like this is really should be investigated before like even considering adopting the report, because this is a really something like a serious matter.
Thank you. I have a technical first. I have two technicals. The first one is mine. This is a new point, not a direct. And I have a technical from AFOP.
Leon AFOP Austria, I would suggest to have a closed discussion. This is a very sensitive topic, and it would be nice if no gossip would get out in some kind of way. Thank you.
Direct, Eva?
Eva, President, do you also not want it to be minuted, or because you said closed discussion, can you just clarify what you're proposing?
Leon AFOP Austria, I just want to make sure that Well, it should be minuted, but it, yeah, okay, yeah, closed discussion. Yeah, let's not have it minuted and discuss it in a closed discussion.
Direct, Eva?
Eva, President, yeah, we just need to double check if it's even possible by Torso, and yeah, we're checking now, so 1 minute.
Eva?
Eva, President, so there is nothing in Torza that you would have to propose or something to do on those discussions. So you can request it. That's our interpretation. But you have to clarify. So do you want minutes? Do you want people not going in and out? Like, can you clarify what kind of a discussion you're proposing?
AFOP Austria?
Ria and AFIP Austria with closed discussion, I mean no minutes, laptops and cell phones unplugged and turned down, I forgot the English word. So the whole thing. Thank you.
BPSA?
No.
Sally, BPSA UK. I'm just a bit worried if there's no minutes, then in the future people will just see the report, they won't know how it happened, and then it will definitely be misinterpreted. So, like, and I know what you're trying to say, that we shouldn't be gossiping, but we shouldn't be doing that anyway. Like, guys, we're official delegates, we don't need a motion for this. Like, we're in this room, we're professional, and I personally think the minutes are important.
Marta, direct.
Okay, Eva, President, can I then have the emotion cards from the GA? Do you agree with Rian's proposal or not, so we know how to proceed? I'm seeing mostly red. So we will proceed normally, and then we can continue with the list of comments.
I have I had a direct, but I will not take it because we don't have the discussion anymore. I will put in new points, and after that you can say the opinion. So I will start with AFOP. Marta, we already appoint you.
Rian, AFEP Austria, I think AFEP agrees with BPHD, but I would like to add, we're not accusing you of accusing Doro, we are just saying some people will interpret it differently. We don't want you to delete what you said, we want you to change the wording so it is 100% clear that whomever reads this report understands what you meant. Thank you. So it's not censorship.
Marta, direct.
Yeah, it can be still considered because you're proposing me to change when I've already stated that it can be misinterpreted if you just read the sentence, one sentence. If you read the whole context, a full report, if you read the background reports that will deal to this report, then it won't be misinterpreted.
Point of information, Eva.
Eva, President, yeah, we're again at the censorship. Should we change? Shouldn't we change? We already established that the GA can request to change, so please, can we proceed to other arguments right now?
So now I have NAPSA Serbia. Where's the new point? No, drop. EPSA.
Sally, BPSA UK. Okay, I really need to say this. There's like what, 30, almost 40 associations here, and it's been like the same 5 talking again and again. Like, when we vote, I personally want to know why every single association voted why they voted. So you guys need to speak up. Like, you all need to speak up. And another thing, and please I don't want anyone to be offended or misunderstood by this, but I'm getting a bit worried that it's like Eurovision and it's getting a bit political because of the kind of associations that have been saying one side and the other side, which is, again, could every single association put their hand up and say what you think, please?
Thank you. Now I have Max, observer.
Here.
So yeah, Max Willi, President of EPHD Germany. I have some questions for Martha and for the executive board. Martha, you stated, I heard what you said, I heard what Dorothea said, and obviously there was a problem with your handover. Did you ask the other executive board for help in this matter? Did the rest of the executive board knew about the problems before this report, and what kind of actions do you take to prevent stuff from this happening in the future?
Sure.
Yeah, Chair ITP, so I will answer this because as a past president, it was actually my responsibility to oversee the handover and everything. So actually, yeah, in general, I was actually quite surprised that we had so much talk about handover in these reports, because we generally have the first meeting report, which has a separate section about handovers, and there was nothing stated there, and I was also not approached during the handover period that something was going wrong. So yeah, I didn't have any knowledge about it.
Direct, Marta.
So Marta, Vice President of European Affairs, yes, the handover keeps being evaluated along the months. When I started, I believed that I was ready because I was not even in Brussels. I had all those meetings, I had all that information packed, condensed, I read everything. I noticed failures when I went to Brussels and started to work more. That's why I pointed out a point for improvement. And probably on the next report I will have something more to point out and more until I collect a list of things that now I know that will need to be improved to pass to my successor. So that's why also handover should be evaluated. If in the handover I had anything to point out to exec, no, I had, because I thought I was ready. then I noticed that I wasn't as ready as I believed I was.
Thank you. Now I have a new point from BPSA. No, drop. So from Marta, new point. Snaps.
Maria, Snap Sweden. So to answer to Sally, we agree with BPHD and VFZO and Alpha with the arguments that they have said, and we show this with emotion cards for GA to be efficient, and we feel that we are ready to vote. So I don't know how GA feels, but yeah.
Thank you. Now I have a new point, BPHD Germany.
Concerning PhD Germany, if everybody feels ready to proceed to voting, I would drop this point. Can I see emotion cards once again? Okay.
So I open. Sorry, can you repeat? So the proposal, it was CCCFD and BPSA as seconded. So now we will vote to the procedural motion. So I open the floor for discussion. Clarification. We have a clarification. BPSA.
Sally, BPSA UK. I don't know if I'm clarifying about the right thing, but how do you request a secret vote?
Eva, President, you can request it, and if if only one a member association requests it, then we'll take it. So if you want to take it, we will. But this now is on 9.3, and then we'll go back to that one, and you can request a secret vote on that one if you want to.
Thank you. So new point from the CPSA. Wait a second, please. Michael, run, please.
Jirka, CZPSA Czech Republic. Since we don't have the voting rights, we just want to express as a CZPSA that we fully support. Marta, sorry, Marta.
This is technical.
Eva, President, this is now a discussion on 9.3, so on whether or not you want to close the floor for discussion.
So now I close the floor for discussion, and we will vote on 9.3. Anyone against? Any abstention? The motion was carried unanimously. So now we will vote to the motion, and I will read that again. BPSA. I will read first, and after that you can see. The 56th EPSA General Assembly accepts the Autumn Assembly Report 2018-2019 of the Vice President of European Affairs. So now BPSA. It's a new point.
Sally, BPSA UK. The BPSA wants a secret vote because I'm not really comfortable with people seeing what their neighbours are voting and then being affected by that. So, yes.
Eva, direct.
Eva, President, so the standing orders state that any one delegate can request a secret ballot, and then it will be taken, so we will proceed with the secret ballot.
Okay, I'm the parliamentarian. I will kindly ask a scrutineer to, no, first, So, Mariana will do a roll call. Each ordinary member raise their voting cards so the scrutineers can see where to give, who to give the secret ballots. When you finish with the voting, you raise again your hand up high so the scrutineer will be able to collect them. and then PC will count. Is it all clear? And no inter-delegation communication between voting. This is really important. All good? Mariana will do the roll call.
I'll do this slowly. Alpha Austria, VFSO Belgium, BPHSA Bulgaria, CPSA Croatia, CUPSA Cyprus, USF Czech Republic, SOP Denmark, ANEP France, PPHD Germany, LPSA Latvia, MPSA Macedonia, Keda Tendalpida Sodvita the Netherlands, NAPSA Norway, PPSA Poland, APEF Portugal, FARSFR Romania, NAPSA Serbia, CPSA Slovakia, SHSFD Slovenia, FEF Spain, SNAP Sweden, ASEP Switzerland, UPS International Turkey, EPSA United Kingdom. When you receive, you can lower your voting cards.
Technical? VFSO?
During VFSO, I don't know if it's technical, but I made a mistake in my voting card. Can I have a new one? Sorry. Or how does it work?
She has a new one. Technical? UN2? Please continue.
Sorry? Yes, if they, start collecting when they raise their hands.
Once you have your voting done, raise your hands with the voting card so the scrutineer can collect it, please.
Yes, start collecting.
Also with the voting card. Yeah,
but
they
they
got a new one already.
No. BPSA didn't have. We didn't have a enough number. We didn't receive the press back. That was not enough ballots.
Yeah, because you gave two to Slovakia.
Sorry.
So the motion it was not carried. We have 6 votes for, 15 against, and 2 abstentions. So the report was not accepted. So now I open the floor for you to say what do you want to amend with this.
Eva, President, I will clarify what's happening now. So, TORZA Article 5.3.7 states all annual Congress reports and Autumn Assembly reports shall require the approval of the GA in order to become official documents of EPSA. In the event of non-approval of a report, the GA shall decide on appropriate amendments to the report in order to render it acceptable and shall vote again on the amended report until such time as the final report is approved. So what we opened the floor for discussion on now is for you to decide on appropriate amendments, so that part. So right now it's just discussion on appropriate amendments, and then this point will be over until Marta amends the report, and then a new vote will be taken.
So the floor is open. PhD German.
Konstantin, BPhD Germany. First of all, I want to thank you for not carrying this motion. Second of all, I would ask Martha kindly to remove the phrase which was obviously possibly misunderstood in a way that Dorothea Dalek actively did not provide you with sufficient contact handover. I think we're all clear about which phrase was the phrase we were talking about, and I just wanted that it's really clear that there was no actively bad intention behind Dora's action.
Technical Eva.
Eva, President, I would just like to ask the GA to use their emotion cards in this discussion because I think it will go easier and you can yeah.
APF Direct.
Replying to, Marta of Portugal, replying to Constantine, I think remove, it's not the appropriate word. I think rephrase, it's more an appropriate word for it.
Fast food in Romania. Oh, VFSO.
Doreen Vieira of Belgium. Not only for us, it's not only what the word was.
IT, can you help? Try to speak louder, please, first.
So Doreen Vieira of Belgium. I think not only rephrasing, but also explaining and clarifying what you mean. Just not keeping it to one sentence, but also prolonging it, that it is clear and clarified as well.
Marta, please stand up and come here to talk. Come here.
Then you're basically proposing me to change the whole remarks or to change the wording. I need a concrete proposal of what you want. Otherwise, I will have to rewrite the full, part of the report. So please be more clear.
IPSA.
What I think is a suggestion is
technical.
Oh, same IPSA. New to this. I don't keep forgetting. So a possible rewording of the sentence with an asterisk, and at the bottom explain what was changed from the previous sentence. So would that be kind of a easier way of clarifying or not?
Eva?
Eva, President, so I would like to ask the GA if they are satisfied with the remarks that were given. And Marta, if you have enough information, if you don't, please GA further explain what you want her to amend so she can actually do it.
VFSO?
Doreen, VFSO Belgium. I think I can just refer to what what Marta said in front of the GA. The wording she used to explain what she meant, that it's a point of feedback, that it's something she wants to be changed in the future, and that it's just about some contact, some conversations, that kind of information. That, yeah, just use the wording you were telling us in the GA, and then it's okay. Then
EPSA, UK.
Lauren, BPSA UK. I think it would be important to hear if you say something like you recommend that future successors have a discussion with their old exec post to make sure that they have all the information that they need, and you have a discussion to say, do I have all these contacts? Will I get on okay? Rather than be left in the dark.
Direct from BPSA.
BPSA UK, Sally. I also feel that if you were dissatisfied with your handover, that's fine, and you should be able to state it. And I think if you do add a recommendation, but you also make it clear that it wasn't enough, I think that way we kind of cover everything and everyone will be kind of okay.
Thank you. Mopsa Turkey.
Zafer Mopsa Turkey. I'm not going to make a proposal or something like that. I'm just going to express our feelings about it, because like right now, we just trying to rewrite her report like the GA is trying to do it, and we are very uncomfortable with it. It's like, that's why we were like thinking against this situation. We didn't want it, but it's happening right now. So it's like, you can't do it, like it's impossible for us.
Point of information, Eva.
Eva, President, so Torzo allows the GA to change the reports. This was already voted upon, and right now we're in the point of deciding on the appropriate amendments, so this cannot be discussed anymore at this point.
Clarification, BPSA. BPSA.
Sally, BPSA UK. Is it possible to do it in a way so that the author of the report goes back, like rewrites it how they want it, and then presents it again, or is that like too time consuming? Just because I think like Marta kind of understands what the issue is, and I'm not, yeah, I know, I agree with Mopsa that I don't think we should be like full on changing it because it's her report.
Clarification, Eva.
Eva, President, so yes, you don't need to tell her the exact wording, but you need to explain what you want from her, and until she's not satisfied, until until it's not completely clear to her what you want to change, this discussion has to continue so she can actually do what you're asking her to do.
Okay, now I have only new points, not direct, so Azeb, Sweden. Sorry.
Horia, as of Switzerland. So, if I understood correctly, what bothers most people is the sentence that says that the information was kept for personal use. And I won't use the word actively because that's not written in there, but it says that it was kept for personal use, and you made it clear that you don't think she kept it for personal use. And that's the only sentence we want to change, and for you to make it clear that it wasn't for her personal use that she kept these contacts. And if more people could show these motion cards, if this is what we all agree on, then we can move on and close this discussion, because it's getting tense, and I think we've reached the point here.
Does anyone have a new point? Marta, direct.
All right, I understand the idea now, but let me just state that it's already in the minutes, but if you prefer to have doubled information, fine.
Does anyone have any new point? Now we can conclude. Technical Eva?
Eva, President, so the floor is open for discussion, so until...
9.3 KNPSV, second by... So now we'll vote for the procedure motion. I open the floor for discussion. I close the floor for discussion. Anyone against? Any abstention? The motion was carried unanimously. So, technical?
Eva, President, so the next point in the agenda now will be AR, and then if there will still be time, we will go to the important decisions document and compendium.
So now we'll take Marta.
So, the next annual reception will happen on the 28th of February. We have an MEP confirmed, Livia Virig. The topic will be digitalization and artificial intelligence, and we will shift it in regards to the more in regards to the challenges for the new future of healthcare professionals. Why this topic? Basically, it's an extremely hot topic in Brussels and everywhere. We have an e-health position paper coming on that is also tackling the lack of knowledge that students feel on this matter. Besides, this can be connected with the rest of our advocacy work, such as interprofessional collaboration and lifelong learning. So we believe that this is a good topic to carry on with the EPSA annual reception.
Thank you, Marta. Any questions? Come, Marta.
Apologize, it's not the 27th of February, it's the 28th, Thursday.
Thank you. If we don't have questions, we can go to the next point. Sorry, Guy.
Thank you, Martin, for the briefing. Just an advice, I think you should always aim to have more than one MEP, because EPSA is politically neutral, so you should have MEPs from different parties as well. I do have a question. Because we did a very similar topic like 3-4 years ago for the annual reception, so what different angles do you want to bring to the table? And I think extremely important, because annual reception over the last years has been growing. What plans do you have to do around the annual reception, on the days around the annual reception, so that more students can be engaged, can come to Brussels, can see the importance that the European Union have in all our lives, especially in a year of elections, which is extremely important.
Marta, you have a direct.
Marta, Vice President of European Affairs. Yes, in regards to the topic, back then it was more on mobile health. At the moment I want to shift it more for digitalization and artificial intelligence, that back then was not that much approached. In regards to the MEPs, yes, I'm aiming to actually have a co-host. But since it was not confirmed yet, I was not stating that we have a co-host, because the person did not confirm yet. So yes, having 2 MEPs from 2 political angles, it's nice. In regards to students, I think this is also has to do with the site program that really needs to be well prepared and well organized and tackled. Promotion will be important. Perhaps other information before the annual reception. And we are also aiming to release our position paper before the annual reception, so also to promote it, so that students have that information. And I can include on the site program information and workshops and on what is the European Union, what does the European Parliament, Commission, Council of the European Union do, so that we can inform our students how do the European institutions work. Since also this was tackled here yesterday, that people would like to have more information, and this is an important year because it's European Union elections.
Thank you, Marta. Any more questions? Guy, with a new point.
Thank you, Marta, for your answer. Just actually a suggestion. This is the clear example of this topic that actually you should have consulted the AAB. We are there to help you. Some of us actually work in Brussels and have a lot of contacts, so please just use us for that, okay?
Thank you. Comments or questions? No? So we will proceed to the next point. To EPSA Compendium. Sure.
Yes. Hey, Chair, IPP. So yeah, I went through the compendium. I updated some things. You can see it all in the GA package. I will not go through everything because I made some small changes to throughout the document. I also tried to add some things that were not there yet. So it's been updated. So yeah, if you have any questions about the compendium, I will be happy to answer.
Eva?
Eva, President. I would just like to add something that was discussed at the team meeting already. We noticed that some other things have to still be amended, so pharmacy to pharmaceutical and so on. And yeah, we will do that before AC. There was not enough time to do it now.
Any more questions? Comments? So now we will vote. Sure.
Yeah, do you want us to go through all the changes again, or not? Emotion cards, because yeah, I don't want to leave you out of going through the compendium once more. But if you have any questions, you can also approach me after the game.
Thank you, Chair. We don't have more questions, so we will vote. The 56 EPSA General Assembly adopts the updated version of the EPSA Compendium as an official document. So now I open the floor for discussion. I close the floor for discussion. Now we will proceed to the vote. Anyone against? Any abstention? The motion was carried unanimously. Now we will proceed to the IDD, the important decision documents. Sure.
Yeah, Chair, the IPP, I'm sorry if I was a bit ignorant in the previous point. The EPSA Compendium, I would just maybe shortly explain what it is. So it's like a document that kind of sums up the history of the association. We have all of the events that were organized in the past there listed, the previous EPSA teams, and yeah, that's the compendium. So it's like a historical document. So if you're interested in the history of our association, please go have a read. And then now we have the important decisions document, which is meant to be more condensed version of the compendium. So just like the most important decisions that we took in order to like improve the association in a way were added. So yeah, I added, for example, the restructure to the External Relations Department, to the European Affairs. Is like the 2 new coordinators, everything is in there now. So yeah, things like that really make an impact usually get added to IDD. So there is a shorter document for you guys just to like have a quick read through it and find out what important things with it at GAs really quickly. So you have knowledge of some of the important things. I will again not go through the document itself unless you wish to. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask now or also approach me later.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Comments? VFSO Belgium?
Doreen VFSO Belgium. I don't know if it's a comment or a clarification or what I should do with this, but I'm sorry. But I went through the document, and at some topics I just got lost because, for example, at the EPSA loan, I understand that it's just the decisions that are made by the GA that are stated, but for me, follow up on these topics is also important, and I understand that it should not be, that not everything should be in it from follow up, and it was told to me that I could just check the GA minutes, but I would recommend to refer to minutes. For example, with the EPSA loan, it said if 3,000 euro would not be paid until 2017, blah 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 blah. I don't know if it was paid or not. The deadline is over, and I cannot check 6 minutes for that. So just.
Sure. Yeah, chaired IPP, that was my bad. I didn't add the follow-up. The follow-up kind of happened in our mandate as well, so it didn't happen before. So yeah, I should have added it. I didn't, and that will then fall to the next IPP, and I will make sure that she knows and that she will add it. Because yeah, I agree, it's also important to add the follow-up and to see that the situation has been resolved, and it's yeah, I agree completely. My bad. Any more comments? So now we'll proceed to the motion. I will read it. The 56 EPSA General Assembly adopts the update version of the important decisions documents. I open the floor for discussion. I close the floor for discussion. Now we'll proceed to the voting. Anyone against? Any abstention? The motion was carried unanimously. Eva with the technical.
Yes, Eva, President. We have been checking the agenda, and we believe it's okay to conclude for today, since there's no other short points to take. So I will ask Mariana to start collecting the voting cards, and then I'll explain what happens tomorrow during.
Please raise your voting cards high so the scrutineer can collect them.
Okay. And then for tomorrow morning, we will have Danny here, so the chairperson of the previous annual congress, to present his report. We will then continue to future EPSA events, so the updates on the events that will happen and the applications for future events, as well as the open calls. Then we will proceed to the TORZA changes, handbooks to approve, executive and member motions, and reviewing the list of EPSA working statement. And at the end of the day, we will have the 14th Autumn Assembly Chairperson discharge, the immediate past President discharge, the appointment of the 42nd Annual Congress Chairperson, the election of HLMs, and any other business points. And then we will conclude with the GA. Yes. Yes, Eva, President. So Deborah will be available tomorrow, and in one of the sessions when she's available, we'll take her. And after her report, there will also be a motion on the coordinator's reports, like there was for exec now.
Verification. Stop.
Yeah, just speak up. Can you?
Yeah, sure. I don't know, like it was said that the GA will be not at the hotel tomorrow.
The GA is not here tomorrow, like where is it?
Eva, President, yes, the GA is not here tomorrow, but we will need to double check. I don't know the location by heart, but we will inform you where exactly we're moving to.
Technical, Mariana.
I have collected 23 voting cards.
And I suspend the standing orders. Thank you.